Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second installment in my casting series. This is Viper GTS. Thank you for coming along and watching. This is actually going to be my player right here. The red Terran is Viper GTS, as I was playing in this game. My teammates are xFreedSoulx, as usual. He is going to be playing as blue Terran, and PaganArtist, again, as usual, playing as the teal Terran. On the opposite side of the map, in the southwest corner, we have Psycho, who is orange Terran. We have Gen Specific, who is the yellow Protoss, and we have purple Zerg up here as the player name is Atomic Toast. This is looking like it's going to turn out to be a pretty cool match. We already have a couple of Protoss proxy pylons going down over here, just outside of Psycho's base, and those are probably going to develop into the gateways that we typically see with a Protoss rush. At the same time, we've got a little bit of scouting taking place. Atomic Toast is sending an overlord to slowly meander and lumber his way across the map. And at the same time, we also have the drone here that is cruising over to go see what's going on in the upper left corner of the map. Simultaneously, we also have a proxy base going down right out in the common area for the southern portion of this, for the southern team in this map. That's going to begin to give them some sort of common area where they can go and rally, get some forces together, maybe put down some photon cannons, etc., etc. Up here in Viper GTS's base, we see him starting off with a typical barracks opening. Barracks was dropped at 11 or 12. Actually, the two refineries going down at the same time. I'm going to try to mass up a little bit of gas. At the front of xFreedSoulx's base, he's got a partial wall that's going down. This is going to include not just a pylon, but also a gateway, so that he can begin making some forces to defend his home base. And PaganArtist really hasn't done much of anything in his base as of yet, because he's focusing all of his attention up front here at this proxy base, where he's going to be pulling in zealots very, very soon. Now, one thing you'll notice if we take a look at the Nexus here, he's got 100 energy. That means he's got 4 chrono boosts saved up, and if used successively, that'll be 5 in a row. Now we're going to see them come into play here and speed along the zealot production. They're going to be rallied to come out right here, and that's going to present a very early threat to the 3 players that are now massing up in the center here. Now we've got a fast expand coming down from Atomic Toast. He's going to go ahead and try to take some of the minerals there in the middle. And hopefully with the additional income from that, he'll be able to crank out plenty of units. We also have 2 gateways that are in full production that are cranking out some zealots, and we have some cannons going down here as a defense. Now the orange Terran player, the Psycho, managed to put down a barracks, which is going to be used, probably going to stick some Marines in there, maybe some Marauders. We'll see how things go later on in the game, and that's going to provide some additional defense on top of these photon cannons. And here we have an initial push. We've got 3 zealots that are moving forward. They're going to come across that SCV and just rip him to shreds. And now Psycho knows what's going on, and he's probably communicating with his teammates as to what's happening here. We've got these 3 zealots are moving up, and they are going to back off because there's just too much resistance there with that photon cannon and that bunker that only has 1 Marine in it. Taking a quick look up here, we have Viper GTS is dropping a factory. That is just completing. We've got plenty of Marines coming out. Factory is getting a tech lab attached to it, and at the same time as that's happening, these zealots are moving in on the Zerg base, assaulting its queen, and just tearing apart those Zerglings that were hatched. They're going to do some serious damage to that queen. She's going to try and run away. She's got that movement bonus on creep, but it's just not enough. She's going to have to micro around. Got some Zerglings coming in as backup, but this is really taking the Atomic Toast attention away from what it needs to be, and that's going to be his build order. Those Zerglings go down. There's a couple more that are hatching, and some backup coming from Gen Specific, as well as a hatch spine crawler, which just eliminates what's left of that threat. It looks like that was going to be it for the initial push, but we have more. Here's 3 more zealots are coming out at just about the same time that the previous set died. As that creep is spreading, we've got a pretty significant force here between 3 Marines and several Zerglings, and they are going to try to back off, trying to micromanage this and get those zealots into a position where they can do more damage. But really, there's so much micromanaging taking place that we're not able to engage in an attack on the zealots right away, and 1 zealot is going to run into the base and drag all those attacking forces back away from the common area. A beautiful, beautiful tactic if there were more forces up here ready to engage. And at this time, we've got a tank. We've got a tank and several Marines Looks like even a couple more Marines have decided to go the long way, take the high road, moving forward for another push. And we've got 2 Zealots that are waiting, plus 2 more that are about to come out, and Stalkers. The Stalkers are here, and they have Blink. I apologize to you guys that have been listening. I did not stop back in. I was paying too much attention to the action. Blink has been researched, and so has Warp Gate. And here comes the big push, micromanaging away from those Zerglings and away from those Zealots so that they cannot attack. Marines and the tank turning around and opening fire. They finally, the other team understands what's happening, and here comes some Zealots in addition. This is not good for the southerly player. There are just too many forces here going up again with too many ranged weapons, and out of range of that photon cannon, they cannot. The photon cannon is not going to be able to assist in this, and 5 Stalkers showing up from XFreedSoulx, all moving in on the Zerg base. This is bad, bad news. Those Zerglings coming in and trying to defend, trying to hold off that attack, get cut down in an incredibly quick fashion. Stalkers moving up north, working on taking out some overlords and and working on the economy. The tank and the Marines having to hold off a 2-fronted attack. The Queen and the Spine Crawler on one side, and 4 Marines, plus another Zealot coming in from the other side. All of Viper GTS's forces are going to go down, but now Atomic Toast is not mining anything. He has no economy. Those 5 Stalkers blinking around, getting away from the Marines, getting away from the Zerglings, and the Zealot just running around and running circles around this base, finally escaping and heading out, trying to get away so as to not take damage and save them for another push, which, by the way, is on its way. There are 4 more Stalkers that are just coming in here. It looks like Viper GTS is expanding a little bit further. He's dropping an additional factory and an additional starport, trying to bolster some of the heavier units that he has available to him. At some point, I wouldn't be too surprised to see another barracks going down somewhere in this neck of the woods, over here underneath, just south of his old one. It looks like we've got plenty of Stalkers. We've got another confrontation just about to occur between 2 different sets of Stalkers and quite a few Zerglings, and the blue Stalkers are going, XFreedSoulx is going to win out in this battle. He's going to destroy everything that's attacking him, and we'll see if he's going to go ahead and try and push forward. Meanwhile, we still have another small pack of Zealots. They have control over the Zelnaga Tower, so you know that they can see what is just here. He can see these Marines. He is now going to be able to see these Zerglings moving in that are trying to attack, and he's going to go ahead and engage, but there's just too much ass there, and those Zerglings are going to have to turn around and try to lead them back to the photon cannons. Just as the Zerglings are able to get a good surround on those forces there, a Banshee shows up with a tank and 4 Marines plus a couple of additional Stalkers, and they're going to go ahead and start pushing in through this wall here, this central location of forces. And a Marauder and a couple extra Marines come over from Psycho's base to try to help, but there's just not enough power there. Down goes the photon cannon. Now they're going to start engaging on this Marauder and these Stalkers. And at the same time, we have a pile of Stalkers moving in from the other side, flanking and attacking that bunker, which is empty. There's nothing in it, so there will be no fight back. The tanks here are going to go ahead and get surrounded by those Zerglings, and those tanks are going to fall. However, as Warp Gate just comes out for Gen Specific, he's going to try and find a way to counterattack this massive Stalker push in the expansion for the Zerg, and there's just no more defense here. Several Marines come out and try and attempt a defense, but they're just going to be outmatched, plain and simple. Meanwhile, up here in the just north of Atomic, what is his name? Atomic Toast base, we have a Banshee that has moved into position. It looks like he's going to go for some slick economy harassment maneuvers. He goes into cloak mode, and he moves in just in range and begins attacking. He's going to start picking away at that economy and trying to slow down the production of all those Zerglings that we keep seeing come out and assisting with the push out here in the middle. Now, Roaches have been brought out into play, and they're trying to fight against. They do have that armored ability, however, the lasers have a +1, they do 14 damage to armored as opposed to 10, so they do get a bonus against those Roaches, and that Marine is just not going to be enough. Followed up with some additional Zerglings. Some more Roaches are coming out here. I apologize, not Zerglings, I was talking about these Zealots over here. They all start with a Z. Some additional Stalkers blinking into this fight. This is just a very, very heavy push, and we also have an additional Banshee and a couple more tanks and Marines coming in to just pick away at this central location where everybody has been trying to focus their defense. This Roach is doing nothing. He's trying to engage on that one single zealot. We'll see what ends up happening here. Those Stalkers end up being blinked into play and just completely annihilate everything in the area, going for pylons, taking down the power grid for these warp gates. You cannot warp in units to defend your base if they don't have power. Meanwhile, we've got two Banshees up here in the Zerg base that are just attacking, picking away, just generally harassing and taking the attention off. They're not able to move in too far because there's a couple of Spore Crawlers here that aren't going to be able to fight them off. Those Roaches can do nothing against the threat from the Banshees, but the Banshees are going to they're going to be forced to put into hold position, trying to back them off before they get destroyed, and now they're going to hold right where they are and just kind of play hall monitor. We've got a couple of tanks, a bunch of Stalkers. They're just laying waste to what's left of this. If we look here at the vision, so far none of the players from the northern part of the map have even seen the yellow Protoss player. They do not know what's in there, whether it's walled off or not. Here we have a massive push coming in. Quite a few Stalkers, quite a few Zealots moving into Psycho's base and just walking around and decapitating every Marine they can find. That's a lot of Marines. He's got 4 barracks that are all cranking out Marines and Marauders. And here we have a line of tanks. They're going to go into siege mode, and those Marines are going to stay up front, just assaulting that wall, taking down those barracks. And just lots and lots of artillery raining down on this front door here. No way that Psycho is going to be able to stop this. He just simply does not have the units. The tanks are going to go back into normal mode and move in, and I think this may very well be the end. The Zerg player is unable to do anything. He cannot fight back. He's got nothing there except a couple of Roaches, and the Stalkers are being surrounded by the workers, and they're kind of getting a little bit caught up, but those Banshees are just hanging out in the back. The Spore Crawler, the only one left able to attack, is bleeding out heavily, and with the assistance of the Zealots, that's going to be the end of the Zerg base. Psycho leaves, and that is the end of the game. Just too much of a push, too early on. The Psycho, Atomic Toast, and Gen Specific were simply not able to bring in enough units to defend that middle position. That was kind of the crux of this game. They did not have the ability to defend there because of the early push from PaganArtist Zealots and xFreedSoulx Stalkers. They just came in and wiped the floor. Thank you very much. Hopefully this was hopefully it was biased enough, and you know, I wasn't too excited about winning when it comes to casting. Thank you very much, and look forward to my next casting experience. I need to work on my talking, I know. Thank you.